Alright. Hello you guys. Today is October 10th. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon. Obviously I'm in a different location than the last time you saw me speaking on YouTube. I am out in the desert, pretty much out in the middle of no man's land. I don't really want to disclose where I'm at, but as far as everybody, just a general area, I'm in southern Utah. The last time that I spoke, I was in Jackson, Wyoming, Jackson Hole, and let's see, I wrote a few notes down, just kind of help me get started. It's been 43 days since my last video. My last video that I recorded was, I think, around August 30th, and today's October 11th or October 10th. And so if you're someone that is caught up with my videos, or you've watched all of them, or you've watched part of them, and you've been wondering where I've been and why I haven't shared any more videos, even though I established that if you've been watching the last videos, people were probably expecting me to continue sharing. I was just getting to the good part of the story. And just pretty much just to kick off this video, based off the last two videos that I shared, well, probably about the last four to five videos that I shared, I started getting getting some people's attention, and some pretty significant things happened on, what was it, about Friday? Was that Friday, August 30th or something? I forget the exact date. It was on a Friday though, but it was the last video that I shared. I believe it was on the Friday. But some pretty significant things happened in Jackson, Wyoming. It occurred on a Friday night. I'm fine. I don't really want to go into many details about it, but the most general way to say it is some people showed up. Some people showed up on Friday night to try and kidnap me or murder me or I don't even know. Some people showed up on that Friday. That last Friday I spent in Jackson, Wyoming, where I was camping out in the woods, and people showed up. They got within a certain proximity of me, and then my friends also showed up, pretty much at the same time. I was inside my van when this was happening, and it was right after it got dark. So I pretty much stayed inside my van the entire time, and I had no interaction with anybody. Nobody on the good side, nobody on the bad side. But just outside of my van, the whole area was crawling with people. A lot of headlights, a lot of flashlights, a lot of dialogue exchanged outside of my van. Essentially I was playing as the bait that night. I was essentially, like, if you think of cheese, I was playing as the cheese. I was the bait, as I was describing kind of in my previous videos about my knowledge that bad guys are always they have been following me everywhere I've been going, and they have already made attempts at trying to kidnap me or take me into their custody alive. And my friends have also been following me around everywhere, and they've been intercepting them as I've been going. And so obviously, I'm still here and I'm still safe. Nobody's laid hands on me, and at the same time, I've had no face-to-face interaction with anybody. It's kind of this. It's been very interesting. I don't even really know how to describe it, but there's been a lot of things happening around me And as far as good versus evil, good guys and bad guys, these are just generic terms. I'm purposefully not going into great detail about these things. But what I'm really getting at is after, what was that, August 30th, after that night, with I don't even know the details. I don't even have the details as far as what entirely happened that night. I just know that some bad guys showed up to try capturing me out in the woods after it got dark, and I just know that my friends showed up and they dealt with them and they hauled them away. And then after they got hauled away, pretty much I went to sleep that night and just slept until the next morning, and then pretty much stayed in Jackson for one more day, kind of to just assess the situation and figure out what my next move was going to be. But that following day it'd be Sunday. So after spending Saturday figuring out what I wanted to do, as of Sunday, I took off. I literally just left Wyoming, and I drove all the way back to Central Oregon. I drove all the way back to my mom and dad's house. And part of that decision was I wasn't sure what was going on back home in Central Oregon. Whatever that was that happened in Wyoming, it was, as far as I was concerned, for whatever reason, I believe my own father, Jerry Durgan, was directly connected to it, as meaning that I'm pretty sure that he sent people, like a hit squad. I don't know how he would do it, or I don't know what my dad's connections are, but from what I gathered, whoever it was that showed up, it was orchestrated by my own father. But because nobody came forward and told me anything after that night, I wasn't really sure what to think. And at the same time, I hadn't even heard from my own mother over a month, I think. I'm trying to recall. It'd pretty much been an entire month of no contact from my own mother. And so after that night, I wasn't really sure. I didn't even know if my mom was still alive back in Central Oregon, and I didn't know if my father had been taken into custody, because whoever it was that showed up on Friday, they got hauled away. They got taken into custody. I don't know by who. I mean, it was my friends, but I don't know what, as far as law enforcement, what field they, FBI or NSA or local police, county sheriff or state police. I don't know who, or military. I don't know who was involved with it, because again, nobody interacted with me. They just showed up and hauled them away, and they pretty much, after the main interaction went over with, there was literally people, agents or officers or military personnel. I don't know, but they were, again, I was out in the woods, and so there were people all around my van, kind of searching through the trees and stuff. They all had flashlights, and they were looking for people that might have been hiding in ghillie suits or camouflage or anything, because there were a number of bad guys that showed up. But because my intuition is what was really speaking to me. That night when all this was going down, and then the following morning, my intuition was just hounding at me that, whatever it was that happened that night, it was, Jerry Durgan, my father, was directly involved with it in some way. And then at some point, I just came to this conclusion, like, I need to go back to Central Oregon and just see with my own eyes, and just so I can see if I can get some answers. Because at the same time, if you remember, it was probably 3 or 4 episodes back, I had that person who messaged me on my YouTube channel that was pretty much taunting me, telling me that essentially telling me that my family perceived me as dead, like I'm dead to them, and that they never want to see me again, and that they were hoping, um, that I wouldn't come back crawling. Oh, here goes that vehicle again. um, they're hoping that I wouldn't come back crawling back home once I ran out of money. And I don't know who it was that sent that message or what their intentions were for sending that message, but it was, for my shoes, it almost seemed like somebody flexing on me or, challenging me. And also just to try fucking with me emotionally, just try to destabilize me. And so between that message that was sent to me on YouTube and then, what happened that Friday night, after taking a day, I took the following Saturday to just really think about what I was going to do next. My intuition told me I needed to return home, and so I ended up, I followed through with that, and I believe it was Sunday morning. Sunday morning, I got up at sunrise and fired up my van, and I drove. I believe I think it was like around 700. The total distance from Jackson to my hometown, Redmond, Oregon, I think it was like around 750 miles or around there, and I ended up driving that entire distance in a day and a half. I drove all the way from Jackson, Wyoming to, I think it was a Vail, Oregon, just on the other side of the Oregon-Idaho border. So I drove all the way through Idaho and then crossed into Oregon, and then I stayed the night somewhere at a place in Vail, Oregon. Then eventually I made it back home to Central Oregon the following day. A day and a half later, I showed up at the house at sometime it was around noon or so, and my mom was there, and she was pretty much even though I had been gone for about 2.5 months, and even though I hadn't spoken to her for over a month, when I walked through the door, she was just acting like nothing's different, and I'm just like, and then I was kind of thrown off because of the things that had just happened in Wyoming, and I tried explaining it to her, but she was just like acting like nothing was different, like nothing, like she was acting completely oblivious to everything I described. And then the things that I did describe to her, there was like no sense of alarm, no sense of concern. It was just kind of like she was just staring at me with a blank face. And then I told her about my suspicion about Jerry, and I told her that, I was like, Mom, I literally just drove 700 miles because I thought Jerry Durgan might have been arrested because some serious shit just went down in Wyoming, and a bunch of other serious things happened weeks before that. And then I reminded my mom about June 14th, about Malaki, my dog, getting drugged and kidnapped. And my mom's just acting like it's nothing. And then she's also just like, I don't know, gaslighting me, deflecting everything I'm sharing, and pretty much defending my father, and saying that pretty much everything that I'm sharing with her, she's just establishing that she doesn't believe me, and that she's concerned about me, and that I need help. And so the way her energy was like, well, it's very off. It's very off. And so I kind of got the clue that I've had a suspicion that my mom, I don't know her level of involvement, but the fact that she has been defending my own father, despite the hours and hours and hours I have given her trying to explain everything, everything that has happened. I've just spent hours and hours of my time speaking with my mom, often repeating myself because she claims to forget things, and just trying to let her know what my own father has done to me, and what he's attempting to do to me, and what he's continuing to try to do to me, so long as I continue speaking about him and not just letting things go. So no matter what I've shared with her, she continues to defend him and accuse me of anything. It should just gaslighting. Go look up the definition of gaslighting. That's what she does, and there's no sense of me going into great detail about it. All I know is that I've wasted hours of my time trying to get her to see all the things that her husband, my father, has done to me and has participated with other people to sabotage my life and destroy my entire reputation and image as far as how people see me. Where today, I got no friends. I wrote some of these things down. Again, it's been 43 days since my last video. I've been living in my van, I've been living in my van full time for 105 days. So I've been sleeping in my van for 105 days straight. It's been 120 days since Jerry Durgan, my father, tried entrapping me and having me locked up in a cage or put in prison or a mental health hospital. He tried setting me up and he failed, and I caught him red-handed. And I've confronted him about it all, and I've told him to his face that he belongs in prison. So it's been 120 days since then. Since I caught my father after he drugged my dog. Malachi's laying right there. He's just sleeping in the dirt. He's fine. He's great right now. 120 days since my dog got drugged and kidnapped, and then I caught my father red-handed. And I've confronted him, and he denies it all. And not only does he deny it all, but he accuses me as being the crazy one. And he's convinced my mom. For all I know, my mom is fully aware of what's going on, and she's just literally lying to my face. But as far as I know, they both were part of it. I could go into great. I was intending to go into great detail about everything that happened that night, but I'm gonna explain all this later in this video. Considering the circumstances, I'm not gonna be able to do that. But I'm just saying that it's been 120 days since Jerry tried entrapping me, and he has. I'm fully aware of his reasons why. I don't know everything about his background and what all he is connected to, and who all he's connected to, but I know enough to know that he's an evil person, and he's connected with very, very evil people who have a lot of resources and money to do a lot of bad things, and that's pretty much how he has been able to get away with so much without ever being held accountable for anything. So yeah, it's been 120 days since that happened. I confronted him to his face. I pretty much interrogated him. somehow I got him to sit down for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I pretty much interrogated him and questioned him about his involvement with all these different people and things that have happened in the past, and he could not give me one answer. When I say interrogating him, I mean, like, I got him to sit down and I explained why I believe the things that I believe and why I believe he is directly involved. I'm just painting the picture for him, letting him know how I've arrived to all of my conclusions, and then after telling him why I believe he's involved, and then also at the same time explaining my perspective as far as what happened 2 days prior, on June 14th when Malachi got drugged and kidnapped. I painted, somehow I got him to sit down and I painted this entire picture for him, and pretty much, pretty much telling him that you're involved, Jerry, and I know you're involved and you belong in prison. And through the whole thing, he could not give me a single answer to explain anything as far as, my intention was to paint this picture and then for him to tell me what his perspective is when all these things were happening. What were you doing, Jerry, when these things were happening to me, and why for my shoes, why did I never... The thing is like, while I was going through all of this shit, I never heard a word from Jerry. He was always in the far background, never hearing a word from him. Everything that I dealt with, as far as all the bad things that have happened to me, if I had a loving, caring father, and say theoretically, if Jerry Durgan was innocent and he had no involvement in anything, you would think a father would step up for his son and try helping his son with whatever shit he's got going on. So for my shoes, I got involved. I met bad people after a series of events. I crossed paths with a bunch of bad people, and then I started getting fucked with, and then my life started going downhill. Okay, it's just a general summary, right? And it was affecting me in a lot of different negative ways, in different bad ways. And you would think if a loving father would step in at some point and try and help their son, try and help me, and try and help me confront these people that are doing these bad things to me, and try and help me recover the things that I've lost and that have been stolen. You'd think that a loving father would, step by my side and get other people to step by my side and help me deal with whatever shit I've got going on. But that never happened. He was, as I continued going deeper into this pit, down this dark path, and bad things kept happening to me, and I couldn't understand why. My own father was always far off in the background, and I'd never hear from him. All these bad things would happen to me, and never a word from my family. I was just always on my own to deal with it. And then at whenever it was I could break free from these things, and every single time somehow I managed to make it back home to Redmond, and then I tried telling my folks about what was going on, they treated me like I was a crazy person, and they gaslight me and tell me that I'm the one that has problems and all kinds of things, and it would always throw me off. It would just throw me off, and I could never really just figure it out. I was just like, why are you guys treating me like this? Like, when I'm out traveling, I'm out traveling, I'm just trying to live my life and pursue my dreams and the goals that I have, yet somehow these bad people have come into my life at different stages of my life, and every single time I try to share my situation with my folks, it's always like flipped around on me as if it's my fault, and then whatever shit I'm dealing with, they don't want to hear it. So that's a red flag, okay? So where am I going with this? Well, let's see. So when I came back, when I left Wyoming and drove all the way back to Central Oregon, right? If you've watched my previous episodes, you know where my last episodes left off. I was talking about Dan, right? So I was just really starting to get into Dan's background and this time that Dan and I had spent together in Las Vegas. So this is back in 2018. Okay, so when I started recording and I started talking about Dan, if you just think about these last 4 episodes that I've shared on YouTube, not this one, but these previous 4. Before I even recorded those episodes, in my mind, I had a feeling that by the time I start talking about Dan and introduce Dan into this big story that I've shared so far, I had a feeling that by the time I start talking about Dan, something big is going to happen in real life, in my real life. Meaning whatever it is that does happen is probably going to be because I have got people's attention, and by people's attention I mean like the big players on this big chessboard. It means that I'm getting the big players' attention. It means that something is going to happen around me that is going to affect my ability to continue sharing the story. This is something that I was predicting, and it's something that I continued forward with, knowing that something was going to happen. So go figure, by the time I shared my last episode talking about Dan, that Friday night, people showed up to try to take me away. Good guys showed up right on time, got them intercepted them, got them dealt with. Okay, but bottom line, I got people's attention, and they also got my attention. To where it was pretty obvious that there was a lot of things being put in motion. Um, a lot of serious stuff. Okay. So where am I going with this? Well, when I made that decision to leave Wyoming and drive 700 miles back west, so I leave Wyoming, drive across the Wyoming-Idaho border, and then drive the entire east to west width of Wyoming, all the way past Boise and then into Oregon. That entire drive through Idaho, it was like I had a convoy of people who know who I am that were safely escorting me through the state. And I had all kinds of signs, people putting stickers and all kinds of ways to communicate with me on their vehicle, because I'm in my van, so I can't drive very fast, so I'm driving down the freeway and I'm only going 55 while most everybody else is driving like 70 or faster. And so people are always just passing me on the left, and my friends know how to communicate with me without without calling me on the phone or having a face-to-face interaction. That's my friends. They're at this current stage in the game. My friends, they're invisible. They're even invisible to me. I'm meaning that they're always just outside of my field of vision. Just for example, where I'm parked right now, where I'm sitting right now. There's a little hill right here. This little grass hill, and you see these big rocks kind of in the background. But just on the other side of the little hill is a black Sprinter van. And this black Sprinter van showed up about 25 minutes after I showed up, and then they came down the road that I came down, and they parked over here. So I always have friends nearby. The black Sprinter van, I don't know who it is, but my intuition tells me that they're one of my friends that followed me out here. For all I know, they're listening to me speaking to the camera. But what I'm saying is, my friends are always aware of my movements because I'm always communicating with them before I do make my moves. So when I did decide to leave Wyoming, I spoke out loud. I'm pretty sure, like I said, I'm pretty sure that my van has microphones in it and my phone and stuff. But I announced my movement ahead of time, meaning that my entire drive through Wyoming, I had an escort. It's not even I'm not even making it up. I had a safe escort all the way through Idaho, and then I made it all the way to Oregon without one single issue. Without one single issue, no hiccups, no problems with my van. And like I said, I showed up to the house, and then I was completely I was confused when I walked through my mom and dad I went through the garage and then went in through the kitchen. My mom was just sitting at the dining table, and I was just super confused just because she was just acting like nothing was going on, and then she didn't even act surprised that I was there. That's the thing. I showed up unannounced. I didn't let her know I was showing up because I hadn't heard from her for over a month. And I didn't know if she was still alive or if she got, if Jerry got arrested. Well, maybe she got arrested too. I didn't even know if anybody was going to be at the house. I was essentially going home to check on her well-being. I didn't know if she was alive or if she was, being held as a hostage by Jerry or I didn't know if something bad had happened to her. I didn't know if something bad had happened to her little dog. She has a little dachshund wiener dog named Skippy. And so, it was kind of like a welfare check by driving all the way to Central Oregon. And then after I talked to her for a little bit, I just got these weird vibes from her. It was like it didn't matter what she was saying to me. I could just sense that she was lying. It just felt like she was lying, and it felt like she was just playing. She was playing naive, and then she was trying to gaslight me at the same time. And so I got really bad vibes, right? And so then I pretty much just went up into my room, grabbed I had no intention of staying there. I needed to get all of my winter clothes because I wanted to see what her state was. I was check her well-being, her welfare, and then I went into that house with the idea that things might not be as they appear, and I might very well go, I might have very well driven all that way just to see what's going on, and then I might very well just grab whatever stuff I have left at the house and just continue on and leave. I had no intentions of staying there, even though I drove all the way back home in Central Oregon. I had no intentions of staying, and so with by saying that, meaning that I'm going to be leaving here shortly, and then once I do leave, I probably never ever going to come back to Central Oregon because it's not safe for me. And the only reason I would ever have any reason to come back to Central Oregon is if I got a phone call from the Redmond Police Department or Deschutes County Sheriff or the Deschutes County FBI or somebody, and they let me know that Jerry's been arrested for a multitude of crimes, including his involvement with what happened with Milwaukee getting drugged and kidnapped and trying to entrap me. That's the only, even today, that's the only reason why I will ever return home to Central Oregon is if I get a phone call from law enforcement or somebody letting me know that some of my family members have been locked up because they've, as far as I'm concerned, they've committed some pretty serious crimes, felonies and things, by trying to make me disappear in order to silence me and prevent the truth and information that I know from being revealed to you guys. Everybody that's involved with this dark side, everybody that's tied to Jerry Durgan, all of them who are committing these very serious crimes while they somehow, I don't know why, but somehow they perceive they're untouchable and that they are immune to any form of consequences. I have no reason to go back home out of my own safety. So until I find out that this group have been addressed and have been, they've all been arrested and they're currently in jail awaiting their prison sentence, or they're on their way to a state hospital, for my own survival, I've had to get the hell out of not only Central Oregon, I've had to leave Oregon, and now I'm out in the middle of fucking nowhere in southern Utah, out in the desert, and I'm making this video now, just letting everybody know the severity of what I'm dealing with. Every step that I have taken is a strategic move to get away from all of those people involved, all of those people who don't want the truth to be told. They don't want to be exposed. They don't want the public knowing that they're involved with anything that's, anything bad, anything that would be considered criminal, especially Jerry Durgan. He does not want the public to know that he's involved with some criminal group and that he's involved with some really fucked up stuff. And, I don't know everything that he's involved with, but I know what he's done to me. I know what he's done to me since my childhood. I know what he's done to me, as a teenager and young adult. And I know a lot of the things that he's done to me in these past 7 years, including attempted murder. He participated in stuff with trying to have me murdered, trying to have me poisoned. So yeah, just based off what he's done to me alone, from my shoes, from my perspective, that's enough. Those are enough. He has enough, as far as his track record, there's enough there to charge him with enough crimes that he's done against me that could get him locked up for the rest of his life. He's pushing 70 years old, so he doesn't really have a whole lot of time left, but whatever time he does have left, from my shoes, he should spend the rest of his life in prison or a state hospital. From my shoes, he's a very evil person. He's psychotic. If you guys can remember from my previous episodes, Jerry Durgan, my father, is a transsexual. He's a tranny. He dresses up as a woman, and he's through my mom and dad. They've been married for 40 years, and my dad has been a tranny for their entire marriage. My mom did not find out that he dressed up as a woman until my sister was getting married. So it was around their 20th year of marriage. It was when my mom discovered his big secret. But then once she did discover his secret and confronted him about it, and he couldn't lie anymore, eventually she found out about his history, and it's pretty much Jerry he's been a tranny slash cross-dresser for a big chunk of his life. Even before he ever met my mother, he was a tranny. So what does that mean? Well, I mean, I have my experiences, and I've seen him when he gets really drunk. I've seen what comes out of him when his barriers come down, and he talks like a woman when he gets really drunk. Yeah, so he's got multiple personalities, and when he gets really, really drunk, you can experience these different personalities. Not only does he talk like a woman when he's really drunk, but if he gets really drunk, his eyes will turn completely black. Like, the whites of his eyes, the pupils, and the irises, just the whole thing just turns black. Like he's, like the real him is coming out, or he's entirely possessed. But I've encountered that 2 or 3 times. So Jerry has a lot of really bad stuff attached to him, and as far as I'm concerned, he is the one who is directly responsible for a lot of the bad stuff that has happened to me in my lifetime. I mean, he abused me when I was a child. Through my childhood, I was abused. Physically, mentally, and then obviously spiritually. It's if you're getting abused mentally and physically, then it's going to affect the spirit too. But yeah, as a child, he abused me when I was a child. The physical abuse kind of subsided, once I got older, but the mental and spiritual abuse continued through my teenage years and into my early 20s and stuff. And I was always fighting back against him, just because he's just a shitty person, and I don't think I'm a shitty person, and so that I've always retained who I am at my core. Despite all the bad things I've been through in my life, I'm still me, and I still try to be good. I try not to let all this dark stuff really bring me down, and I try not to vibrate at low levels. But Jerry, he's been bad and evil through my entire lifetime. So if you can imagine, I've tried to retain who I am, and he's been who he is. So obviously through my entire lifetime, it's been a battle. I've been fighting back against him, just because I don't want to be like him. All of the things that he's trying to instill in my brain and pass on to me. It's like, I don't want any of that. Everything that you are, I despise it, because you're a terrible person. You pretend to be good, when you're out in public. Like, these are things I've observed through my entire lifetime, as far as how he interacts with public versus how he interacts with me when nobody's around, and how he interacts with the rest of the family when nobody's around. He treats everybody differently, and he's never the same. So he treats me, when it's just him and I, a lot of times he's just at me, just completely at me, tear me down in different ways. And then when he's out in public, he's Mr. Friendly, and everybody perceives him as Mr. Nice. He's like a nice guy, and he's caring, and works hard, and he has good ethic. That's what he wants people to perceive, but it's all just a mask. It's just an illusion. Because once he gets behind closed doors and there's nobody around, well, not only does he treat me terribly and abuse me, well, he's a raging alcoholic, and when he's in his own space or he's with his friends, he's different. He's different when he's on his own. He's different when he's around me. He's different when he's around his wife. And then when he's around his friends, he's completely different. He's a completely different person, especially when it's him and his friends and they're all drinking. And the more they drink, the more completely different that he is. Right? And so then you got to also account for his private time, where he's dressing up like a woman and stuff, and putting on women's lingerie and bras, and painting his toenails, and putting on makeup, and putting on wigs, and putting on stockings and high heels, and like the whole deal. Alright, so me speaking about this on camera, you can imagine that if Jerry's watching this, that he's getting fucking angry, right? He's getting really angry, and that he would murder me if he given the chance. But the fact that he's already tried and has continued to try is something that just he knows yeah. Just look at it this way. Jerry knows that I know, and he knows, and I know that he knows, if that makes sense. So he knows that I know, and I know that he knows, and he knows that I know that he knows. It's kind of however you want to, that weird combination of things. But yeah, he's aware that I'm aware of what he's been up to, and because he knows that I'm aware, him and whoever's connected to him, they're all aware that I'm aware too, that I'm aware. So they're all aware that I'm aware of all of them, right? And they don't want me talking about any of this. Meaning that given the opportunity, if I didn't have friends protecting me, and I didn't have friends following me around everywhere I go, my own father and the people he's connected to, they would, if they given the opportunity, they would make me disappear. They would outright kidnap me, and then you would never hear from me again. Okay? So that's what I'm dealing with. And with that said, he belongs in prison, and I will never forgive him for what he's done. So, he's the only one who I really, who I've caught red-handed, who I know for a fact is connected to a group of people who are trying to get me to disappear. So, if for you as the listener, just entertain this picture I'm trying to paint for you. So if I caught him red-handed and he's guilty, right? But he has people protecting him, meaning that even though I know he's guilty, I can't turn around and go to law enforcement and have them arrest him because Jerry has important people surrounding him who are defending him, not allowing law enforcement to do their jobs and, put him in custody and charge him for these crimes that he has done. So what I'm saying is that Jerry is somehow immune to these consequences because he has all these people surrounding him, protecting him. And the only reason that they are protecting him is because they are also part of it. Because if Jerry gets caught, if Jerry gets arrested, and he gets hauled to jail, and then starts going through the justice system, he has to make court appearances, and then he's getting read all of his charges. Say he's getting charged a whole bunch of felonies, and his defense attorney is telling him how much time he's looking at, and then Jerry's realizing like, holy shit, I'll probably be dead before I even I'll be dead. He's thinking that he will be dead before he's even close to serving his sentence. So essentially he's going to die in prison or a state hospital. So if Jerry gets arrested and gets charged with a whole bunch of felony counts of attempted murder and a whole bunch of other stuff, if he gets locked up and he's connected to a bunch of people, he is going to start screaming and singing like a rat. He's going to start singing like a rat, so all the people that are behind him, that are, pledged to his group, they're all in the same group, and all of them don't want to get caught, right? They don't want to get caught, which means the truth cannot be told. And if Jerry Durgan gets arrested, he's not going to want to be the only one that goes down. He's going to get really upset because if he gets caught and all the people connected to him, they'll continue walking free. Well, Jerry Durgan, if he can make a deal, if the DA will make a deal with him and reduce his sentence or put him in a better living situation, put him in protective custody rather than putting him in general population and allowing people to figure out who he is and what he is. But what I'm saying is, if he gets locked up and he's the only one, everybody connected to him, they're going to be terrified that Jerry's going to start singing like a rat. And Jerry will, because he's not going to want to go down alone. So all the people connected to him, he's going to start ratting them out. And so everybody else starts getting arrested. But at the same time, until he's arrested, everybody is going to be defending him with their life. Nobody wants to see Jerry get arrested because it means that they will all eventually get caught and arrested too. Okay, so there's this big thing. I don't even really know how to go. I could just really go into it, but I'm just trying to generally describe it. But that is the situation that I'm in. You know, I have him. He's connected to powerful people, and then there's my position where they want me dead. They want to make me disappear, and then now, all I have is my travel van, and I have my dog, and I just have my personal property, and I think I only have like $1,000 left. As far as my finances, I only have $1,000 left. I am down to like 130 pounds. I might be under 130 pounds. I weighed 138 pounds about 8 weeks ago. So I'm probably about 128 or so. But yeah, Jerry, my own father, and the people he's connected to, they have taken measures to pretty much, they've sabotaged my life, meaning that ever since I was released from Humboldt County in September of 2020, so over 4 years ago, ever since I've been released from them 4 years, I have not had contact with any of my friends, anybody who I had a friendship with or relationship prior to my arrest. So all of my college friends and people that I knew growing up, people that I had really close friendships with, and high school friends too, I have not had one single conversation with anybody that I have known in the past. Okay, so I have, from my shoes, for you as a viewer, please understand this. It's been probably about 6 to 7 years since I've had contact with anybody that I know, that I've had that used to be my friend a long time ago. And then since my release from Humboldt County, so from the day I was arrested, September 2019, all the way up until October 2024, I have never heard from any of my friends. I don't know where they're at. I don't know what their life situations are. I don't know what their ups and downs have been. I don't know where they've been in life. I don't know which of my friends, I don't know which of them have been married. I don't know which of them are still married, if any of them have gone through divorce. I don't know how many of my friends have their own children. I don't know what occupations they have. There's all these things I don't know about any of my friends because for some reason they've been cut off from my life. And if they have tried contacting me, there's somebody in the middle that is not allowing their messages to reach me. And considering everything I've been through, I don't know how to contact any of them. I don't know how to reach them. And so that's all just a big missing thing. So out of all this time, I've never heard from any of my friends. And then if you think about when I started sharing videos on YouTube, so about 2 years ago when I shared my first episode, Welcome to the Rabbit Hole, I shared episode 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then at some point I started recording with showing my face again, right? So it's been over 2 years since I shared my first video after my arrest, and everything that I have shared in the past 2 years, that's probably about I want to say probably about 7,000 to 8,000 hours of my time. Each episode, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, each of those 5 first episodes, a minimum of 1,000 hours. A few of those episodes probably took me about 1,500 hours just to complete one episode. So if you look at my entire YouTube channel from episode 1, Welcome to the Rabbit Hole, all the way up until this current episode, I have given, for you as a viewer, everybody who finds my channel, everybody who follows all of that information and takes in everything that I've shared, you're looking at like 7,000 to 8,000 hours or more of my time that I have given for free, and I have not made a single penny along the way. It doesn't matter how many times if you think about all the videos I've made, and you account for all the number of times that I have asked for help. I've let everybody know that I've been paying for all of this out of my own pocket. Nobody's paying me. Nobody's telling me what to say. Nobody's telling me that I can't talk about this and I can't talk about that. It's like, no, this is all 100% me. And everything that I've given, to this day, I haven't gotten anything back. And the whole point of me sharing all of this, everything that I've shared since episode 1 up until now, is I've been trying to help everybody see the situation and see what, try to not only discover the purpose of life and what this life is, but also discovering your own spirit and discovering who you are. And I've been trying to set people free from, everybody's been in their own cage, metaphorically. Through our lifetime, we've all been brainwashed and lied to and hypnotized and indoctrinated and all these things. And it's a process of finding the truth for ourselves, and then essentially, metaphorically, it's like a cage is being opened, and then having the courage to step outside the cage and go experience life for what it truly is, if that makes sense. And my whole goal has been to try to set everybody free from their cages, so everybody can see the truth for what it is. Everybody can see that God is real. God's real, and we all have to be obedient to God if we want to ascend, if we want to leave this place. We have to find our spirit, and we have to, it's a whole path and journey of self-discovery. Discovering who we are as an individual, and discovering that God's real, and then discovering the truth about what our purpose is, and then at some point spending time self-reflecting about the good, bad, and ugly things that we've all done. For my own self, I reflect on the good, bad, and ugly things that I've done. Confessing, repenting, and then walking a righteous life to the best of my ability. Trying to be obedient to God to the best of my ability. Prayer and all that stuff. These are things that I've been trying to help people. Try to spread this message and help people find this truth for themselves. And a big part of this story that I'm sharing is a lot of the things that I discovered, my own path of self-discovery, my own journey of everything that I've learned. It has not all been an instantaneous thing, meaning I have not learned everything that I heard. I have not learned everything that I have learned all at once. It's just been over this long span of time. I've just been learning all these different things. Well, whether the ups or downs in my life, whether, the best times in my life or the absolute worst times in my life, I've been learning all these different things. Okay, and so me doing what I'm doing is sharing my story is to try and help people identify with some of the things I've been through, to help everybody else kind of like take a step back and see the big picture. And then at the same time, I've been trying to share my struggles and all the really crazy stuff that I've gone through, because some of these crazy things that I've gone through, most people probably would not survive. They would, these very dark places that I have gone have been so dark, like a nightmare, so dark and bad and wicked and evil, that most people, had they followed my path, they probably would not have survived. They would have either been murdered, they would have either killed themselves, suicide, just from the experiences alone. They would have been way too much for their own brain to process anymore, and they probably would have killed themselves, or they would have ended up locked up in jail or prison or a mental institution. Most people would not have made it nearly as far as I have and survived to tell the story. But I have survived, and I've been trying to tell the story. But there are bad people out there they're still out there, who do not want this story told. Okay. Where am I going with this? Why have I been talking about all this? Well, enough things have happened over the last 6 weeks. Okay, so ever since I've left Wyoming, all the way up until October, I have been, as far as my journey, I have driven from Wyoming through to Idaho to Central Oregon, all the way to the Oregon coast, almost down to the California border, back to the Oregon coast, back to Central Oregon, and then I've driven all the way down through Nevada, all the way into Utah. Okay, I've driven about 5,700 miles in about a little over 100 days. I've driven a long ways, and I've been to a lot of places, and things continue to happen in real life, not on social media. It has one of the biggest reasons why I have not shared any videos for the past 6 weeks is because some pretty serious things. There's a yellow jacket on my hand. Is because there's been some pretty serious things that have happened each week. Every single week, something different happens. There's a yellow jacket on my hand. So just don't sting me, buddy. Sorry, this yellow jacket is literally in my palm. Just waiting for him to get bored and then go away. I don't want to move my hand and have him all of a sudden sting me. There he is. You see him? It's all about just being calm. Move on, yellow jacket, please. I can't really just keep talking when he's on me like this. Yeah. That's a big yellow jacket, too. Okay, fly away, buddy. Yeah. Lost my train of thought. I'm gonna pause and take a break and take a drink. All right. So I mean, I'm just saying that I've traveled a long ways, and just in the past 4 months. And then after I left Central Oregon, after stopping by my parents' house and just kind of assessing the situation, all I did, I literally just went into my room and grabbed all my winter stuff, my winter clothing, and I also grabbed my bicycle. I didn't have my bike with me in Wyoming, and it was driving me nuts, so now I have my bicycle with me. But leaving Central Oregon, I have essentially severed ties with my family, meaning that I have no intention of ever going back and having any form of a relationship with them. I have not heard from my sister since, it's October now, and I have not heard from my sister since before June 14th, since before Malaki got drugged and kidnapped. I have not heard from my sister since like the month of May or April, so it's been like almost 6 months or longer since I've heard from my sister, and not one single time has she even sent me a single text message asking me how I am or what's going on. She has not asked me for my perspective on what's going on within the family dynamic. So as far as I'm concerned, my sisters, whatever my sister perceives about me, it is entirely coming from Jerry, our father, or our dad. And so her perception of me, I have no idea. She believes whatever she believes about me based off what Jerry Durgan has told her. And from my shoes, Jerry Durgan is a compulsive liar, and whatever he tells people in general is about, as far as whatever he tells people about me and whatever he tells people about my relationship with him, I have no idea what he tells people, but I can just only imagine that it's nothing but lies, and he tries to illustrate himself as the victim, and he tries to illustrate me as the crazy person, when it's backwards. It's all backwards. It's pretty much from kind of how I see it. all of these accusations against me and things that Jerry has told other people about me, it's either just an outright lie or he's just revealing his own colors. He's just, he's self-projecting. He's telling people all this stuff. He's telling them that it's me doing it, but it's actually him doing it. And so that's how he's coming up with all these random scenarios and things. It's like, well, right, because he's the one's doing it. Like, I'm trying to get you guys all to see. He's a fucking crazy person. And I'm just trying, like me, I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to survive and get everybody to see the situation that I'm in, and I'm trying to get help with it, like, so, by saying that, this YouTube video that I'm making, it's pretty much a cry for help for law enforcement to step in and help me with this. One of the big reasons I'm not really going into too much detail about all of this different stuff is because you either know or you don't know. You're either fully aware of what I'm up against and what I've been dealing with, or you're just completely in the dark and you have no idea. Meaning, there's no reason for me to really go into detail about all the little things that Jerry has done to me and all my experiences and stuff at this current moment, because I'm already aware that I have a lot of eyes on me, and I'm very much aware that, law enforcement, to whatever field of law enforcement, whether it's the FBI, NSA, local police, county, sheriff, state police, doesn't really matter to me. I'm just saying in general, law enforcement, right? Those who are plugged into me, who are tuned into me and have been following me around, they already know all the details, so they already know they know the truth about all these things that have happened in the past, and it's just a matter of them deciding to take action or not, right? They either decide to make a move against Jerry Durgan, or they make a move against me, or they just do nothing at all and allow things to just evolve in whatever manner that they do. That's kind of how I'm reading the situation. I obviously have people around me who are protecting me and not allowing me to fall in harm's way and not allowing me to fall into the hands of these bad guys that are chasing me. But beyond that, I have no support and no communication and I've had nobody to talk to about anything that's been going on around me. Literally nobody, not one person. If you just think about from the day that I got arrested on September 2019 all the way till today, which is we're October 2024, so we're a little over 5 years. Okay, I have not had one for 5 years. I have not had one person come forward out of everywhere I've been. Not one person who has come forward to tell me anything, not giving me one answer to any of the questions that I have about this big picture, about anything that's happened to me, about any lies anybody's told, about anything. So I'm operating completely in the dark as far as where is everybody? What's everybody doing? What does everybody know? What truths do you know? What are you withholding from me? I don't know. I only have my perspective, and I only have my experiences and the things that I have seen with my own eyes and have learned. But beyond that, 5 years, not one single person. Not only am I not allowed to have any type of friendship, I can't have nobody. I don't have any friends. Why? I feel, from my shoes, I feel like I'm a pretty friendly person, and I have a lot of stuff to talk about. I feel like anybody that's in a place in their life where they're trying to find these bigger answers as far as who we are and what the purpose of existence is and what exists beyond what we've been told. I feel like I've got a lot to share, and that a lot of people would enjoy spending time with me just to ask questions. But not for 5 years, not one person has come forward. Not even ask me how I'm doing or anything. How are you doing, Brandon? Nothing. So to me, that's really suspicious, and I really feel like there's some bad guys or some type of intermediary in the middle that's not allowing these relationships and friendships to happen. Beyond that, I can't really explain it. So where am I really going with this is that I am in a position in my life where I'm pretty much at a dead end. I've had everything of mine destroyed, stolen, and taken from me, and then I've also had my name and identity slandered and sabotaged. So I pretty much don't really have anywhere to go. My family, that my entire family, they're cut out. Like uh, I no longer have a family. As far as I'm concerned, I no longer have family. Um, and if I ever get if I ever get an emergency, say I'm out here in the middle of the desert, I'm just trying to explain the situation that I'm in. Just gonna make up a scenario. Say I'm out here in the desert and I'm on my own with my dog and I have some type of emergency, right? I literally don't have anybody in my phone that I can call and talk to about my situation. Somebody that can help me out in any type of way. Nobody that I can just, I'm going to call up this person because we're friends and I'm going to let them know what my situation is and then they might be able to help me. No, the only number I have to call is 911, but even then I don't even feel confident calling 911. So if I get an emergency, I don't even have a single person I can talk to. I don't have a friend. I don't have a family. So yeah. So where I'm really going with this is, if you're someone who's watching this and you consider yourself a friend of mine or a supporter, or you like me and you're someone who has been wanting me to share the story, and you like watching my videos and you want me to keep sharing more and more because you like learning from me and hearing my perspectives. Well, I'm at a stage in my life where I've only got $1,000 left. I'm borderline starving. I'm living in my van, and so I'm very limited on my abilities to do anything. And that I do not anticipate surviving much longer, because once I run out of money, the only way I can make money is by panhandling. I can't go get a job anymore. It's obvious to me that people know who I am, and if I just want to go get a random hourly job just so I can make some money for rebuild my money, it's really difficult for me to do that, because whoever say I do get a job, however many people are employed at this job, at some point everybody's going to meet me, right? And then at some point those people are going to find out what my last name is, so Brandon Durgan. At some point people are going to go get on the internet and they're going to type in my name, and then at some point, these people are going to find out about me, and to whatever capacity that means. And then once people find out about me and I'm working at their job with them, well, all of them are going to be talking about me behind my back, and they're going to be treating me differently than they would be treating anybody else. So that's a hostile work environment for me, and this is going to follow me everywhere I go. And everywhere I go, people are going to be treating me that way, and so that just triggers my PTSD and fucks with my head and makes me not want to be at a job, because people are not being honest with me and they're just talking about me behind my back and stuff. They're too afraid to let me know that they even know anything. So I'm in a position where I can't get a job, and all I can do is panhandle to get money. And I'm saying, for all of you out there who consider yourself my friends, supporters, you're somebody that looks up to me or in different ways, whatever that might be, I don't know. But you're someone who wants me to continue sharing on YouTube and continue making new content for you guys to learn all these different aspects of life. You're wanting me to talk about these things, and you also want to hear about experiences that I've had. You want to hear about DMT, you want to hear about magic mushrooms, you want to hear about how I ended up getting arrested and what my 12-month incarceration was like, and what it was like being released from that, and everywhere I've been since then. You guys want to hear about all that. Well, I'm in a position in my life where I don't have the resources or energy anymore. I'm almost out of money, and because I'm almost, I'm borderline starving at 128 pounds, 130 pounds, my energy levels are draining, and so my overall strength has been going down. And I'm going to be continuing down this path until I eventually do die, until I eventually starve to death, or I have a heart attack, or I stand up too fast and I get lightheaded because my blood pressure drops, and then I pass out and I hit my head on a rock or something. You know, anything can happen. I'm getting close to the end of my life. It's not. I'm not pursuing death. I'm not trying to die, but I'm also just kind of like standing my ground. And I'm saying, you know, if you're, in order for me to move forward and continue giving to everybody, you know, to fulfill my goals and things that I've said I've wanted to accomplish, promises that I've made. In order to fulfill any of these things, I need these barriers out of my way, you know, these criminals out of my way. In order for me to continue giving to you guys, in order to have any type of friendship or relationship with anybody, I have to have these bad people out of my way, because they're trying to have me murdered. They're trying to get me to commit suicide, or they're trying to have me lash out and commit a violent crime or something that gets me locked up. And they're continuing trying to set me up and entrap me in different ways, and gang stalk me and follow me all over the place. And I'm saying, like, now I'm at a point in my life where, I am calling for help. I'm asking for law enforcement. You guys, please, like, help me out. And, like, really, you need to go after these bad people that I'm pointing my finger at. Like, just, I'm from where I'm sitting right now, I'm like 12 or 1300 miles away from Central Oregon. Like, I don't know exactly. I don't have cell phone service right now. But, you know, I'm like 1300 miles away from Central Oregon. And if that's not enough, you know, me making a statement, just to, you know, whoever watches this, and it's like, yeah, I've taken all of these measures and all of these steps to make a statement to all of you who are watching. Like, yeah, I'm getting as far away from Jerry Durgan and my family as I possibly can. I have this $3,000 van that I purchased, and it's magically got me all the way out here. This van has taken me 5,700 miles altogether, and it's got me as far away from Jerry Durgan as possible. And over this duration that I've been away from him and all of my family, the time has allowed me to heal and get my mind organized, and all of this bad shit that was attached to me, I've been allowed to get rid of a lot of it, and now I'm pretty focused. I feel like I'm pretty focused. But I've drawn a line in the sand in the context, metaphorically, I've drawn this line in the sand, and I'm standing on one side, and I'm standing alone, and I'm inviting as many people to come on my side of this line and support me and be my real friend, be my real supporter, and help me in whatever capacity you can. Meaning, like, if you're law enforcement, military, or something, and you can hear my message, and you know what I'm up against, and you have the capacity to do something about it, and whatever that even means, we'll step over on my line on the sand, and however many of you there are, as far as however many law enforcement officers that I can get on my side, and you guys know the truth about what Jerry Durgan has done to me, I'm asking for you guys to help me by go arrest him. Please arrest him, and arrest everybody who's directly connected to him, those who have actively been participating with trying to undermine me and sabotage my life and get me to kill myself or get me locked up. Everybody who's been participating in that, like, willingly trying to bring me down, and you're on law enforcement and you know who all those people are, I'm asking for your guys' help. I need it. I can't do that on my own. Right now, I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to maintain a positive attitude, and just trying to do good things every single day and keep my spirits high. But again, I don't really have much resources, so I'm only able to eat a little bit per day. And I'm trying to stretch out the money that I do have to last as long as possible. And it's having an effect on me, of course. But my mind is still sharp. My mind and spirit is still, I'm still pretty sharp. I'm just getting really skinny, and I'm losing my energy and stuff. But I'm just saying, like, if you're in law enforcement or military, like Jerry Durgan, you guys need to take care of him in the sense of taking him into custody and charging him with crimes. The crimes that he's committed against me, he needs to be charged with crimes and get locked up. and everybody connected to them, they all need to be locked up for what they've been doing. And not just to me, not just to me, but if they've been doing this stuff to me, I can only imagine they've been doing it to a whole bunch of other people. And then, if you guys can do that for me and, get them out of my way, if you can get them out of my way, well then, it's just as a big thank you, as a huge thank you, if, you get them out of my way, and then all of a sudden you open this door and allow all my friends to come forward and come out of the woodworks, and, people could start feeding me, start feeding me and get me back to a healthy weight. And then, maybe I need resources and friends and manpower, and then I can start giving back. Everything that I know everything in my brain that I know that I want to share, all of that takes time. It all takes time to be able to speak out loud and talk about these things, and then you got to get it recorded and uploaded for people to watch. And the only way I can do any of that is if I'm not starving and I have resources to do what I need to do. But I've given everything that I can. I've given everything that I have to the point that I'm at near exhaustion, point of near starvation. And I'm just letting everybody know, like, this is my last YouTube video. This is the last video I'm ever going to make, as far as sharing the story. And the only reason that you will ever see another video from me is if my friends, supporters, with law enforcement, you guys step up and take care of these gatekeepers and bad people who are in my path that are not allowing me to have any type of friendship or relationship with anybody. I need these bad people who have been trying to undermine me and make me disappear. I need them. All of us, we need them out of the way. That way, all the good people, and then, that way, all of us, that way we can all come together and start elevating together. There's a lot of people out there who are looking for the truth. There's a lot of people who need healing. There's a lot of people who are looking for, like all of this information is being blocked by these gatekeepers and evil spirits and bad people and stuff. And the only way all of us, all the good people, can ever really come together and elevate as a whole is by identifying all these bad people and getting them out of the way, removing them from the chessboard. So yeah, I really do need help, and there's not really much I can do to improve my situation. I can't. I've done everything. I've done everything in my power to try getting people's attention and try showing you guys the source of our problems and where who the bad guys are. It's good versus evil. And this is as far as I've really made it, and alright, you guys. So it's October 16th right now, about 10:20. It's been 6 days since the last video. The last video that I did, you're still in the same video, but the last cut, my camera battery died, and I didn't know it. My camera didn't make any noise or anything, so pretty much spoke for 15-20 minutes without realizing that the camera wasn't rolling. So everything that I had said, it just pretty much was a wash. Right now, I reviewed the footage that I have recorded, but it's also been like 6 days. The last recording, I was pretty much out in the middle of nowhere, and my computer battery was pretty much dead, and I didn't really have any. My motivation has just been kind of low right now. But again, it's been 6 days. The last recording was on October 10th, and today is October 16th, and I'm about 2.5 hour drive away from, I've traveled another 2.5 hour distance from the last place I recorded, and you can kind of see I'm still in the desert. I don't really care about disclosing where I'm at right now, and that's entirely intentional. It's playing chess right now. But You know, as far as the last video, from what I recall of the things that I was kind of talking about, um, so I'm in a position where I don't really have much energy left in me to continue putting out videos. If you just account for everything that I have shared over the past 2 years, you know, between 6,000 and 8,000 hours worth of work. You know, it's probably about 7 to 8,000 hours worth of work that I've given out for free. In a sense, where, you know, I haven't received a single penny so far from, you know, whoever's watching these videos, and however many of you are watching these videos. I have no idea. But if you just, the total cumulative amount of content that I've shared, I haven't made a single penny through YouTube. And now, you know, over all this energy that I've expended, I'm at a point where I still have energy, but I don't really have that much energy that I care to give towards speaking in front of a camera or continuing with my story, because from my perspective, not only am I not seeing any type of return for my energy and time. You know, usually when anything that you do and you're putting a lot of time into it, you want to see some type of return for your effort. Well, let's go with, I'm just going to list off a few things, like considering the thousands of hours that I've put out. I haven't received a single penny. B, nobody's even engaging with me, so I'm not getting a car in the distance. Just wait for that to stop. I'm not getting any engagement on social media. I don't really care about validation or people just talking to me, but if I'm putting out information, there's no engagement and there's nobody talking. There's nobody, like, as far as messaging. Nobody's messaging each other. Nobody's talking about any of the information I've discussed. So it's just, I have no idea who's watching, which is fine. It's not a big deal, but I'm just listing off all the things. So for all of my time and energy, no money, no engagement on social media. I don't know where my friends are at. You know, I've already went over this. I have no idea where my real friends are at, people that I have known in the past, people that I've had friendships with and relationships with. I have no idea where they're at. So that's another thing. And then 4, if you think about all the bad stuff that has happened over these past 6-7 years, all of the bad things that have happened, and the fact that I have named people that are and were, and, you know, they still currently are involved with this criminal group, this group of people that are doing bad things, the bad guys, and for some reason they are, it seems like, immune to any type of consequences. So there have been people out there who have attempted to murder me, people out there who have sabotaged my life and slandered my name and destroyed my image. They've stolen so much from my life where, you know, I can't even really get on social media anymore because I'm blacklisted. So all of the photography that I have done, excuse me, over the years, I have so many pictures. And even, you know, since I've been in this van since the beginning of July, you know, end of June, beginning of July, and especially since I've headed south to Utah and towards Arizona, I have more than 1,000 brand new photos of all the cool places I've been so far, and those are all photos that none of you guys get to see. So, and I mean like nobody gets to see them because it appears, you know, photography is something that I really enjoy. I really enjoy traveling and doing photography and sharing my photos with people so they can see all these cool places that exist out in the world, and try and motivate people, inspire people to go travel, you know, go see these places for yourself. You know, so the point of my photography is to show people, yeah, all these cool places do exist, but if you ever want to see them, you have to go out and go explore. You got to go on your own adventures. And what I'm saying is right now I have over 1,000 new photos that nobody has ever seen, and I'm just withholding them right now. So I'm in a position where for all of my time and effort that I've put out so far, not only have I got no return for my energy and time, all of these bad people that have fucked me over and have destroyed my life, and they've done some really bad stuff, including my own father, Jerry Durgan. They're still walking free, and they're still stalking me. They're still monitoring everything I'm doing. And so I'm saying, well, there's a lot of good people out there too. There's bad people watching every move I'm making, and then you got good people watching, as much as you guys can. And for all the good people out there who want me to continue forward with my story and want to hear about all of my experiences, like you guys want to hear about, I left off on the last video I left off on was talking about Dan's background, and then so everybody who has been wanting to know what happened in Las Vegas at Dan's house over a period of like 2 months, when I was going back and forth from Las Vegas to my traveling around to like Zion National Park. You guys want to hear about all of that and about DMT and mushrooms and people that I met while I was in Las Vegas. And then you guys want to hear about where my life went after I got away from Dan and after I returned back to Oregon, and the things that went on with my family, because some pretty significant things happened when I did return back to Oregon. My grandma died. My dad's mother died within like 2 weeks of my return back to Central Oregon, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't just it wasn't her death was not a natural death. There was some type of there was a third party involved as far as my perception is. I'm pretty sure, because when I went to Las Vegas, there had been a hit on my life. This is something I didn't talk about in my other videos, but Dan told me that there was a hit on my life. Somebody had put a hit on my life, and Dan pretty much said that, somebody had hired him to be the one to assassinate me or kill me. Dan kind of put that out there for me. This was like my first weekend in Las Vegas, and this was like, I think it was the first night at his house, where rather than continuing down to Sedona, I ended up staying at his house for 3 days. I mentioned this in my previous videos, but that first night, at some point during my discussion with Dan, he told me somebody had put a hit on my life, and essentially Dan was the one who had been hired. And considering that I actually did go to his house and I did DMT and I agreed to stay the night at his house with him and his wife, I was sleeping in my van, but I'm staying at his place for 3 days. But because I was respectful of Dan, and because I did DMT with Dan, and because I chose to stay at his house and spend time with him, this hit that had been put on my life, it got called off because, whoever was involved, they perceived that after my DMT experience at Dan's, everybody that was in that circle perceived that Dan had got into my brain, and that maybe not right away, but at some point in time, Dan was going to have me under his mind control. It'd brainwash me, right? And so that's why this hit was canceled, because they know how gifted I am, and they know, what I can do in this world. But from their shoes, they only want me around and only want me to come into my power if they are in control of me, or if they have control of my mind, or if I somehow pledge myself to them down the road. So they, bottom line, they canceled this hit, right? And so then I ended up spending a whole bunch of time with Dan, and then Dan perceived, Dan perceived like, he had me mind controlled, and then I was his. And then at some point, I ended up leaving Oregon, promising Dan that him and I would see each other again. But where I'm going with this is, when I returned back to Oregon, within a couple weeks, my grandma magically died. My dad's, Jerry Durgan's mother. Where, from my perspective,
If you feel like if you really want to go into I don't even know what kind of name to call it. Just like a metaphor. If you want to think of like Game of Thrones or something, like there's like the group of assassins, the Dark Brotherhood or whatever. You know, if Dan's part of the Dark Brotherhood, you know, I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying it's like this group. They're assassins, and you know, if Jerry Durgan was the one that had made a deal with Dan, I don't even know what that means, but he made a deal with Dan to sacrifice my life in order for Jerry Durgan and my own sister to rise up in position in life. You know, they're sacrificing me. Okay. But because I didn't get sacrificed, but this deal had been made, from my perspective, a life was owed. Like Jerry Durgan owed a life. You know, for whatever reason, they called off this hit on my life, but this deal had been made where a life was owed. And I perceive Jerry Durgan was the one who set this whole thing up. So because they spared my life or allowed me to walk free because they thought they had me under mind control, for all I know, Jerry Durgan's mother was the one whose life was taken, just because a life had to be taken, and you know, Jerry Durgan might have chose, you know, whether he had a say so or Dan or whoever he's involved with. This is, you know, it's whoever made that choice. It was Jerry Durgan's mother who ended up paying with her life, because Jerry Durgan had originally tried to have me sacrificed and then canceled it because they thought they could have me. You know, they thought they had me, and then they all the things that they could do if they had me under their control. But all of a sudden, like, oh, let's not murder Brandon, but oh shit, a life is owed because we made that agreement. Okay, well, your mother, Jerry, your mother, you know, because she just magically died. She apparently, not long after returning to Oregon, and I spent time trying to tell my parents about what happened going down there, but they didn't want to hear it. But a little bit later, you know, within a couple of weeks, all of a sudden, one morning my grandma was dead, and from the story I heard, she woke up one morning, and as soon as she climbed out of bed, apparently she got lightheaded and maybe fainted or passed out, and she supposedly hit her head on the corner of her nightstand, and then, you know, that killed her. That's the story, but I don't know if that's actually true. But where am I going with this? Well, I'm saying that there's been a whole bunch of really bad stuff that has happened. There's been some attempted murders on me, and I've had, you know, attempted murders on me, and then also trying to set me up and have me sent to prison or state hospital for a long period of time. There's been a whole bunch of things that I have gone through and have also navigated around and avoided, but also there's things that I have fallen into, a whole bunch of shit. And everybody who wants to know about everything that's happened, well, you guys gotta understand, I've already given out thousands of hours of my time, and not only have I seen no return for all of my efforts. Nothing. Not one person communicating with me, letting me know that. Nobody communicating with me to answer any of my questions about, like, what the fuck is even going on? Why am I in this position? Why? You know, what did I do? You know, other than trying to speak the truth and tell people what has happened to me and share my perspective about what's going on in the world. What have I done to anybody other than trying to find answers? And so I've survived so far. I'm still here, right? But not one person out of all this time that I've gone through all this stuff, not one person who knows me, whether they're a friend, somebody that I've known in the past and we were friends, or somebody who knows me now. You know who I am, but I don't know who you are. But you're in a position, you know, if you're in law enforcement or military or something, but you're in a position where you have answers or information that I don't have, and you're withholding information from me so I can't find these answers. You know, there's all these people out there that are withholding info from me and pretty much leaving me in my own. I'm just trying to figure things out for myself. And you got all these people withholding stuff and not coming forward. So from my position, why should I, even if, you know, all my friends and people out there who want to hear the story, why should I give more of my time for free, if I am not receiving any help, I do need help. I really do need help. I need help in so many different ways. I'm almost out of money. I'm almost starving to death. I'm probably under 130 pounds now, right? I've had nobody to talk to for like 7 years or 8 years or 9 years, whatever. Nobody to have real conversations with. And then the bad guys, they're still walking free, and they're still harassing me. They're still gang stalking me. They're still doing these bad things. And they steal everything from me. Any chance they get, they'll steal stuff from me or undermine me. So why should I put out any more of my effort and time if at some point down the road somebody's just going to kick my feet out from under me or sabotage my work or whatever? So I'm saying, I got two minutes left before this clock beeps. What I'm saying is, all you people out there who know who I am and you guys are following me, if you're a good guy, you're part, somebody that's keeping eyes on me, or you're connected to this in some way, but you consider yourself a friend of mine or a supporter, I'm saying I cannot give you guys any more information as far as telling you about this story. I don't have the energy. I have nobody around me helping me with all of this huge workload, even just surviving, going about my daily tasks, taking care of my dog, taking care of my hygiene, taking care of food, water, traveling, everything involved. I'm doing it alone. And I'm at a point where I can't give anybody anything else. So I have to, with everything that's in my brain, I have to withhold all of this information from all of you guys, where I'm pretty much, there's a line in the sand. I've drawn this line in the sand. And until you guys, my friends, supporters, get on my side and come out of the woodworks, I need to have conversations with people. I'm lucky. And the fact that I'm still alone makes no sense, because I've sacrificed everything. I've given everything I can give, short of my own life, and I'm not that far away from losing my own life, from starving to death or having a medical emergency like a heart attack or something, where I have low blood pressure from sitting down and then standing up too fast, and then I pass out or faint and hit my head. Anything can happen. I could starve or freeze to death this winter. But I'm saying I cannot give you guys anything more until law enforcement, military, until you guys step up and put these these people that have done bad things to me, including Jerry Durgan and everybody directly connected to Jerry Durgan. Those who are actively trying to undermine me and bring me down and try to either get me to commit suicide or have me locked in prison or a state hospital. As long as they are walking free, I'm in danger. I'm in danger everywhere I go. Every single week there is something that happens. Okay, I gotta stop this, and I'll continue because my timer's out. You guys really gotta understand that. When I say I'm in danger, I'm not saying that lightly. No, I'm actually in danger. My health is gradually declining, and then there's also bad guys out there who are actively following me and doing things that are making my life more and more difficult. Okay, they've also blacklisted me on social media. They probably have my email account tapped into and my cell phone tapped into. Anybody that tries sending if I have friends out there, if you're watching this, and you consider yourself a friend of mine, somebody, we know each other, we've used to be friends, and you have my email address, well, if you've tried sending me an email, I've never received them, okay? So I'm saying there's some mediary, there's somebody that is tapped into my email account, and anybody that tries contacting me, I don't get those emails. The emails that I do get is mostly spam. Most messages I get is nothing but spam. And then every once in a while I'll get a message from somebody that I don't really know or don't really have. It's just somebody I've never really heard from before, and they act like they know me and they're trying to engage in a conversation, but they're not really identifying themselves. So it seems like anybody that does contact me, it's somebody that's somebody with bad intentions, and they're just fishing. They're fishing for information. They're fishing for me to tell them things that I'm thinking about, or what my plan is, or where I'm at, or where I'm going, or my timeline on stuff. People that are pretending to be my friend, but they're really just fishing. that's the only type of contact I get is people that are just wanting to know certain things, and that's it. And then when I ask them personal stuff, they just kind of disappear, right? So, yeah, so this is as far as now, this is pretty much, this video you're watching now is pretty much the last video you're ever going to see from me until, unless you got, unless law enforcement, military decides to take action and, arrest Jerry Durgan, and for Jerry Durgan specifically, for all the bad things that he's done to me. A whole long list. There's a whole long list of bad stuff he's done to me, and people that have worked with him to accomplish some of these things. There's a whole bunch of them. And until, so long as Jerry Durgan's walking free, from my perspective, I've driven like 1,213 miles away from Oregon. I'm all the way out in the desert just to get away from him for my own safety. And I'm also with, so long as law enforcement, military, you guys don't do anything to address this issue I'm pointing out. These are actual criminals out there that I know of, and so long as they're walking free, that really just, it makes me not really trust anybody. Why should I try? Why should I move forward towards my purpose or try to help anybody at all if the whole system is corrupt and law enforcement and military are not even willing to take action against real criminals, and they're only you got real criminals out there, people that are, you got the pedophiles and the pedophile rings, child trafficking rings, sex trafficking. You got these drug trafficking, all this drug trafficking, cartels, the cabal, all that fucked up stuff going on in politics, all kinds of bad stuff. There's so much corruption everywhere. And from my shoes, why should I continue putting out energy on YouTube on doing this if nothing's being done about it? Why should I put out thousands and thousands of hours of my energy? I'm trying to help everybody, including law enforcement and military, whatever field you're in. If you're an FBI, NSA, CIA, local law enforcement, county, state police, it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying I'm trying to help all of you guys too. Military too, military personnel, whatever your rank or position within the military, whatever branch you serve, I'm trying to help all of you guys too, so that you guys can see the truth and understand that most of you are being used like pawns by bad people who have bad intentions, and they don't care about you. You're just expendable to them, right? The moment that you start questioning orders or start questioning the direction that society and humanity is heading, and the moment you say no more, well, guess what? They're going to strip you of your badge, and they're going to send you off on your own just like everybody else. And then the next thing you know, you're no longer part of the club, right? But this is, you guys got to understand that this physical world is just temporary. For every single person alive, this life is just a temporary experience. Your life is a test. All of our lives is a test. And this is, no matter how real this world seems, this is not the real world, and this is not the place you want to stay. This is not a place you want to be stuck. Okay, this is not the real world. I don't really want to know how to describe it more than that without really just starting to go into a different subject, but I'm just saying there are realms and realities beyond this world, and I've been to them and I've seen them with my own eyes. And I can tell you, I do have stories to tell you about how I've been there and how I got there and what I've experienced. I have all that stuff. It's in here. It's in my brain. But I'm not going to tell anybody. So everybody who wants to know these big questions and stuff, I am withholding my information, everything that I have learned from all of you, until these bad people are fucking dealt with. Jerry Durgan specifically, so long as Jerry Durgan's walking free, I'm just zipping my mouth shut, and I'm disassociating with everybody. I'm just out in the desert doing my own thing, pretty much not engaging with anybody at all. I'm just literally just Malaki and I were just driving around, hanging out at different areas. I got a bunch of books, so I read a bunch of books. I've been taking pictures, we go on hikes. But other than that, I don't really talk to anybody. Everywhere, I've traveled like 6,000 since I've gotten this van. I've traveled about 6,000 miles, and I don't talk to anybody. I don't engage with anybody unless I just happen to cross paths with a person or a group of people, and there's just small talk, like how are you, how's your day going, nice weather we're having, just small talk. Other than that, I don't talk to anybody. So everybody that does know who I am, I'm pretty much giving them the cold shoulder. Everybody is getting the cold shoulder because I've already given out all this time and energy, and I know for a fact that these bad people are still walking free, which makes me question what's really going on behind the scenes and makes me not really know if I can or cannot trust law enforcement and the military. Because I do know law enforcement and the military. I don't know how many, and I don't know who. I know that I just know that I'm being followed and monitored and observed and studied like I'm a fucking lab rat. But so long as law enforcement, military does not make any moves against Jerry Durgan and all these people that are connected with him, I don't know who I can really trust, and there's no point. There's no sense for me to continue exerting all of this energy of mine if nobody's even willing to talk to me. Not one person is willing to come forward and have a conversation with me and tell me what the situation is or what's going on. Okay, well, you guys, so I'm just like, okay, you guys play your game, you do what you want, and I'm going to do my own thing. I'm over here, I'm just by myself with my dog, and we're out in the desert, and we're just out exploring and hiking, and we're living in the van full time. I don't have a family anymore, I don't got friends and all this stuff, and that's just essentially a strategic move. I've drawn a line in the sand, and I'm not going to participate with all this bullshit, all this nonsense out here. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I'm going to not create issues for anybody. This is my last video until things are done. Either my father gets arrested and things come into fruition, all these bad people get arrested, and then I have friends contact me and tell me that things are really moving in the right direction. Well, if that happened, well then I'll continue making videos. If I have people come into my life and they're my friends and they start helping me and supporting me in different ways, I need people to start feeding me so I can get my weight back. So I'm a healthy weight. I want my friends back. It's like one of the biggest things. I really want my friends back. I want to have friendships with people and people to talk to, and I want to help people. I really want to help people and share what I know to help people out of whatever darkness. Everybody's gone through their own shit. Everybody's gone through their own different forms of hell. As a whole, the world's in a pretty shitty spot. Society and world issues and politics. Everything's been in the gutter for a long time. Meaning every single person out there, everybody's been going through their own shit, whatever that even means. And I've gone through a lot of shit too, and I have the ability to help people just by sharing my story and allowing people to listen to my experiences. People can identify with similar experiences, and then I can share things that people may have never heard of before. I have a whole lot that's in here that I just want to share, but right now I'm just withholding it. I'm going to be withholding everything I have, and I'm not going to be willing to help anybody, and I'm just going to be out on my own until law enforcement and military, you guys all get it together, get it all together. You guys need to really see the bad guys. There's real bad guys, there's real evil out there, and those bad guys out there who do know about me, they're trying to illustrate me as the bad guy. So there's a lot of people out there who perceive me as the bad guy, and then the real bad ones out there, they perceive them as the good ones. It's all backwards, just so you know. If it wasn't, why would I be spending this time saying all this in front of a camera? So, why would I put myself out there and let you guys know what my situation is if I was the bad guy? But I'm just saying, you guys can be on their team. You guys can be on their team, and then I can be on my own, and then whatever happens in this world, no matter, so long as nothing changes, the world is just going to keep going downhill. It's just going to keep going downhill, and eventually society is just going to collapse. The United States is going to go bye-bye. Everything's just going to collapse, and then something new, the new world, is going to come out of it. But what does that even mean? I don't know. But if, I'm over here on my own, and this is all corrupt, and they're doing their own thing. Whatever happens, it's probably going to be, it's not going to be a good thing. It's going to be, whatever survives is probably going to be corrupt, because the bad guys are the ones that are orchestrating it all and making it all happen. And I'm over here doing my own thing. Whatever time span this is that all this happens, doesn't really matter. For me, I'm under 130 pounds, so it's just a matter of time before I die. Can I make it through the winter time? I don't know. I don't really have a lot of money left, and I'm gonna have here real soon. The only way I can move forward is by panhandling, because so far nobody is pitching any money my way through PayPal. Nobody's contacting me asking me how they can send resources my way so I can feed myself and feed my dog and have fuel to pay for my van and all that, take care of my needs. Nobody, not one person has come forward offering. Not one, but nobody offering. Nobody trying to have real conversations with me. So yeah, if this pattern continues, well, and nobody gives me money, at some point I'm going to starve out. So a few months, big deal. If I survive just a few more months, I'm already ready to die. I've already crossed over before. Now, no big issue. And then once I am dead, it's just my physical that's dying. It's not my spirit. My spirit's getting set free. And then once I'm free, once I'm out of my body and I'm free, that's when things might get really interesting for everybody. This is where everybody, I've already identified who I am. And so everybody who denies it and just calls me crazy, or they just don't believe it, or they're too scared to acknowledge it, whatever. What I'm saying is when I die, oh wait, what I'm saying is when I die, everybody who hasn't believed or doesn't believe, well, all you guys will get to find out. Okay, well, once Brandon's dead, then you guys can find out. But I'm just saying that if I am who I say I am, and things do start moving in the direction that I've kind of indicated and kind of hinted at, so that things might start happening in this world and that this world might become a nightmare. Well, everybody who's turned their back on me and has chosen to do nothing, at some point the wheel comes full circle, and then everything that bad guys out there and everybody who's been watching me, everybody that has been too much of a coward to come forward and help me, well, once that wheel comes full circle, everything that's been done to me, it's going to go boomerang and go right back, and everybody that's been doing this shit to me, you guys are all going to get put in that fucking circle. You're going to get put in that fucking hamster wheel, and all of you get to go through the exact same shit that I went through, except it's going to be 10 times worse, 100 times worse, because that's how karma works, right? So I'm saying, right now, everybody drawing this line in the sand like Peter Pan, in the movie Hook. I know who I am, and I've stepped into my powers, and I'm calling everybody, whoever you are, and you're listening, and you want to be on my side, and you don't want to be part of the evil. You don't want to be on the evil side. You don't want evil people as part of your company, and you don't want to be surrounded by bad, toxic people, narcissists, demons, and shit. You don't want that to be part of your company. Well, I'm just letting you know, I believe in God, and I'm obedient to God. God's who I look up to, and I'm on that side of the fence. God and Christ, God and Jesus Christ, right? I'm on that side of the fence. And so if you're on this other side, and then I end up dying, and then I am who I say I am, and my spirit leaves and I go up, I'm not really dead, but I go up to heaven or God's kingdom, and then all of a sudden I get all these magical powers, and then I might just come back down with a whole big army, and then everybody who was opposing me, well, that's kind of the thing, you guys can just go ask Dan. Dan had a DMT ride. I watched him do the DMT, and I watched him have his experience, and Dan had a DMT ride where he watched 95% of the entire Earth population die. Dan watched the Earth burn, he watched the world burn, and he watched 95% of the population burn. Everybody died. Only 5% survived. And as Dan was watching this happen, it was a spiritual experience. It was like, he was going into the future, watching what might happen if things go real far south. If things go wrong, then the world might burn. And from what I've gathered, if things go real south, then that's what happens. Well, it's Dan's fault, because when I watched Dan do DMT, and he watched the world burn, and he saw 95% of the population die. The next thing, from my shoes, after he saw this, he started repeating himself, saying over and over that it was his fault. He's like, it's all my fault, it's all my fault. And he was crying, for as strong and tough and scary as Dan was, he was crying like a baby, because, he's staring at the sky, and the sky's he's watching the world burn because he's on DMT, and he's saying it's all his fault. And I'm like, yeah, it is your fault. And that's where I'm saying right now, everybody who's listening, and you got the good versus evil. Well, if you got bad people out there that have done all these bad things, and they know who I am, and they've tried to kill me, and now they're trying to beat my mind and defeat my spirit, so I'll commit suicide, or I'll become violent, and then that'll get me arrested and put in prison or a state hospital. That's what they're trying. But if all of that doesn't go to plan for them, and I just naturally die, I starve to death because they've taken everything from me, and I can't feed myself. I don't have an ability to make money. I have no friends. I have nobody to talk to. And pretty much, they put me off out on my own, and I go off into the desert and starve or freeze or get sick, and then I pass on. Everybody who's on that wrong side, everybody who's on that side that's been part of that, well, you guys are all going to pay for it big time, because God's watching all of this. If you believe in God or you don't. And if you do believe in God, well, you better believe God knows who I am, and God is aware of everything that's going on around me, and God is aware of all the people who are trying to bring me down, and he's aware of all their little private conversations and everything they're plotting and scheming behind closed doors. He's aware of all that. So if I end up dying, well, everybody that's on this side, you all have a lot of bad things to answer for, and nobody's going to be forgiven. Everybody that's on this side, none of you are forgiven, and you're all going to be put into the fucking nightmare pit at some point. So I've got a minute left, and if you guys, oh, hold on, I'll just start it over real quick. Hold on. All right. So I'm going to conclude this here in a moment, but when I was, I'm in Utah right now, but before coming to Utah, I was all the way back in Oregon, and I ended up catching up with a rabbit. For any of you who know anybody who's been following me around for a while, any of you who have known who I am, known about me since before my arrest in 2019, right before I got arrested, a few months before, there was somebody that I had mentioned that goes by the name Rabbit, and Rabbit lives in Oregon, and Dan knows who Rabbit is, right? So Dan knows who Rabbit is. I believe Kelly knows who Rabbit is. I mean, I don't know if she's ever met Rabbit, but she knows his name. And Jerry Durgan knows, at least at a minimum, knows who Rabbit is. And if there's anybody that I don't know, I respect Rabbit. Rabbit is a special individual, and he lives up in the mountains somewhere. And I drove when I was in Oregon, just last month before I came to Utah, I went and found Rabbit. I went and drove up into the mountains in southwest Oregon, and I drove straight to Rabbit's address, and I found him, and I ended up having it was like a 2 to 3 hour conversation with him. He invited me in his cabin, and he showed, I had a really nice conversation with him inside his cabin and out on his front patio. I'm not really going to go into much detail about it, but, as far as Dan, Kelly, and Jerry, if you guys are listening and you guys know who Rabbit is, or you're aware of him and you guys are terrified of Rabbit, I don't know what Dan and Rabbit's relationship is. As far as I learned up on the hill, they left on neutral terms at a minimum. But, Rabbit gave me this is a candle. This is a blue candle, and Rabbit gave it to me, and it originally came from Dan and his wife Jamie. When Dan and Jamie lived up on the mountain, when I took Dan and Jamie up on the mountain in 2019 and dropped them off at Rabbit's property, and then I left the mountain for for my own reasons, because things were really bad back then. I just had to separate from Dan, Jamie, and Rabbit all at the same time, and I just took off, left the place after Dan and Jamie got settled. But so, if Dan and Jamie are watching, or Kelly and Jerry are watching, well, I drove all the way back up there, and I found Rabbit, and I had a conversation with him, and Rabbit gave me, Dan and Jamie, they had this is a blue candle that they used to sell. It originally belonged to Joe. Joe got murdered in 2019. Joe got murdered, and Joe was somebody that grew natural medicine. Like he grew clean marijuana. He could grow mushrooms, and he knew how to make DMT. And he could make as far as marijuana, he could make dabs and cannabis oil, and he could make Rick Simpson's oil, for curing cancer and stuff. So he had all these really abilities to make medicine out of plants, right? And so he had a business, and this was a candle that they made. So Myco Joe, it says on there, Myco Joe, Ag Army Co. 1. So after Joe got murdered, Dan and Jamie somehow took possession of a lot of Joe's stuff, right? And so this candle was one of them. And when Dan and Jamie left the mountain, where they were living up with Rabbit, they stayed up there for, I don't know how long they were there, probably like 6 months or something, maybe less, maybe more, but at some point, Dan and Jamie left the mountain and left Rabbit. Rabbit still lives up there, but Dan and Jamie left Rabbit with a bunch of souvenirs and things for Rabbit to have, just because from what I learned, they left on good terms, right? Or at least neutral terms. And Dan and Jamie left Rabbit with a bunch of stuff. And so when I was visiting with Rabbit just this last month, there's a whole bunch of Dan's stuff inside the cabin, a bunch of things. And Rabbit showed that to me. He ended up giving me this candle, just, as a souvenir. And then he also gave me a picture of Dan. So this is, I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but that's Dan. Obviously you can't see his top part of his face, but you can see this. There's a tattoo. He has a tattoo across his collarbone. It says, "Only one of us walk away." And then there's this tattoo of, it's either a demon or a fallen angel. So Dan has, or had, I don't know if he got it removed or if he still has it. But he has a tattoo of a demon or a fallen angel on his right pectoral. And then a tattoo that says, "Only one of us walk away." So Dan gave this to Rabbit, and then, I went up and visited Rabbit, and then I had a conversation with Rabbit about Dan and Jamie and other stuff. And then eventually Rabbit gave me this picture as a souvenir, so I'm just showing it to you guys, kind of as proof that I did go up there. So anybody that knows who he is, and you're a bad guy and you're scared of Rabbit, well, just let you know, I literally drove up there by myself, no idea what to expect. I just blindly drove up there unannounced, and he received me. He received me, and we had a really nice conversation for 2.5 to 3 hours, and he gave me a whole bunch of stuff. That's just a couple things. He gave me a whole bunch of other little things too. It was really nice. And then sent me on my way, and then I ended up driving back down to the Oregon coast for one more week. I spent another week on the Oregon coast, and then after that I pretty much drove all the way straight to Utah. That was like 1,300 miles, and my van made it the entire way, no issues, and it's still driving no issues. But yeah, so I'm just saying, right now, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be alive, and everybody out there who considers you guys consider yourself my friend or supporter, well, I'm just letting you know this is the last video until, at a minimum, Jerry Durgan gets locked up for attempted murder and trying to entrap me. That's, at a minimum. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that he's done. If you just want to start racking up all these charges things that he's done personally to me, and then things that he's done that I'm not even aware about. But so long as he's walking free, I'm pretty much stepping back and getting away from people, and so long as he's walking free and all these other people are walking free, and they're all criminals, well, I want nothing to do with anybody, and I'm just going to be out in the desert on my own until all of you guys get it figured out, okay? Everybody, either you guys get to choose. Do you guys want to go down the dark path and allow society to go down into the darkness, and you guys want to be part of that? You guys want a dystopian society, whatever that even means. You guys want to go into the darkness. Okay, well, you guys can do nothing. You guys can not help me. You guys can choose to do nothing and allow me to just be in my own space out in the desert, and you guys do your own thing over here, and then eventually I'll die, and then I'm out of the picture. I'm out of the way for you guys, and then you guys can try to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. But again, do you believe in God or do you not believe in God? So if you don't believe in God, well, then obviously I sound like a crazy person. But if you do believe in God, and not only do you believe in God, but you also know the devil or Satan's real, so you got God and Satan. Well, which side are you on? Are you on God's side or are you on Satan's side? So, I mean, if you're on Satan's side and you really think you're going to get away with it, okay, well, I'll go die here soon, and then I'm gone. And then once I'm gone, you guys can sit back and wait and see if everything I've said is true. You know, and if it's true, if everything I've said is true, I'm just letting you know you're all fucked. If it's true, you are all severely fucked. But if it's not true and I'm just a crazy person, well, have fun. Enjoy the world. It's already going into the shit. Well, I'm just saying, you know, I'm out of here. So if I have the choice, I'm not coming back. And then you guys are just in this world, and it's going to go to shit, and it's going to become a nightmare. And I'm no longer around. And all the good people who know me, they're probably going to die off too soon. And then it's just going to be nothing but bad people. And your whole world is just corrupt. And have fun. You know, next 100 years, if society can survive that long, the next 100 years is going to be a nightmare for people, because everything's just going to be fucking corrupt, and the people that are running the whole show, they're a bunch of retards. You know, they're corrupt and they're selfish, they're narcissists, they're greedy, they don't care about anybody but themselves. So those are the people that are going to be running the show. So if you're not one of them and you're just a normal average person, or even if you are, you know, if you have a specialty or you're in a pretty good profession, even still, if you're not one of them, your life's going to be shit. Everything's going to be expensive. You're going to have a hard time affording anything, and all the good stuff in this world is going to be reserved for those who are in this little club. Everybody else is on the outside. So I feel like you guys know what I'm saying, and I don't really need to keep beating around the bush. I'm just saying, like, you guys want to hear from me anymore. Well, I'm waiting for these bad people to get arrested and charged with the crimes they've committed and get sent to prison or a state hospital. So long as Jerry Durgan's walking free and everybody directly connected to him, you know, even part of my own family, whoever's part of my family, my own family, whoever's part of it, have been trying to undermine me and lie about me and destroy my life, whoever's part of it, well, they can all go to jail and prison. I don't care. And I'm just saying, if you're military and law enforcement, you got the facts, go get them all. Go get them all, and then you can have somebody contact me, and you can let me know that it's done, and then you guys can we can all come forward, and we can all be friends. I just want to be friends with everybody, and I want to contribute and help. I have a lot in my brain that I want to help. You know, I want to help everybody and help people get past their PTSD, help people find God, help people find their spirit, all these things. That's what I want to do. But I really can't do it right now so long as these bad people they're gatekeepers or whatever you want to call them. They're all standing in the way. They're standing in my way, and there's all the good people out there. They're standing in your guys' way. Because all of you who are looking for answers, all of you who are trying to find the truth, well, all these bad people, they're gatekeeping you. They're blocking the path so you can't find the truth. You know, I might have the answers. You know, I might have the answers, and you're right here, and then you got somebody in the middle who doesn't want you to contact me because they don't want you to find any answers. So these are the people in the middle that need to be removed. And that's all I really got to say. So I'm going to conclude this video. So if you never see me again, now you know why. Now you know why. If I end up passing on, well, this is the last video that I filmed, and so you know my reasons why I passed on, and you know who's responsible for it. You will know if I die. You will know who's responsible for it. At least one person. You go catch the one person I've named, and then you start, you can get names out of them. It's just a matter of how you're going to get the names out of them. But you gotta understand, they're all protecting each other. Just like Epstein. Once Epstein got arrested and sent to prison, you got to think about all the people on Epstein's list that went out to, his island and all the other places that they have the sex trafficking and child trafficking. Well, there's that whole list of people involved that willingly went out to these islands to engage in these festivities with underage children and women, girls and women stuff, raping kids, But none of those names were released. once Epstein got arrested, well, he magically died. Whether or not he actually did die, or they just, they made him disappear and he's still out there, doesn't really matter. I don't know what the truth, but I'm just saying it's the same type of scenario where, whoever was connected to Epstein, they were protecting him and they were all doing that bad shit. But as soon as Epstein got picked up, everybody involved, none of them wanted to get name dropped, none of them wanted to go to prison, so they made him disappear. Well, it's the same thing with Jerry Durgan. Whoever's protecting Jerry Durgan and whatever Jerry Durgan's part of, they're all protecting him for the sake of keeping him quiet. If he gets arrested and put in jail, well, there's a good chance that he won't survive much longer, because everybody that's around him will probably try and take his life, because they don't want him to squeal like a rat. But yeah, so this is my last video, so this is the last you'll see my face. And if you do happen to see my face again on YouTube, it's gonna be because things worked out. Bad people got arrested, and I got the green light to continue forward. But if you guys don't ever see a video again, well, I might still be alive, but I might not. At some point I might just stop breathing, or my heart might stop. So if that's the case, I just wish everybody luck. And those who make it to the other side, I'll see you there. But those who don't make it to the other side and fail their tests, well, enjoy hell. Yeah, really what it comes down to. You either pass your test and you move on, or God condemns you and you go into the pit. So whichever side you want to be on is your choice. I'm the messenger. I'm just dropping the message, and now shut the video off and go live my life. So take care, everybody.